would like to move item 21 under public hearing. And also like to add an emergency item that was added, that came to us after the agenda was released, which would be item 24B, which is adopting resolution number 2022-99, authorizing the grant application, acceptance and execution of grant funds for the state of California GoBiz grant.
Okay,
That will go under new business.
as item 24B, correct?
Correct.
Okay, are any other changes to the agenda requested? Do we have a motion to approve?
I'll go ahead and take the forfeits item for 24B first. Can I get a motion for that, please?
Motion to approve.
Thank you. And a second?
One second.
Thank you. And I'll take roll. Councilmember Beaman Jacinto,
Yes.
Councilmember Delgado,
Yes.
Councilmember Galarza.
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, now we can go ahead and take roll with for approval of the agenda. Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Thank you. Councilmember Delgado, I don't know if your mic is off, but I can barely hear you.
Is it a bit better, Angela?
Yes, that's much better. Thank you. Okay, now I'll take roll. Councilmember Beaman Jacinto,
Yes.
Councilmember Delgado,
Yes.
Councilmember Galarza.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion carries.
Thank you, Madam Clerk, and for helping me through those motions. We'll now move on to the proclamations and presentations portion of the agenda. Item number 2 is a recognition of Coachella Valley High School fall sports, cross-country, football, girls golf, girls tennis, and girls volleyball. One moment. And we have a series of written proclamations for those teams. Councilmember Delgado, as you're there in person, could you assist me with calling up the various teams and their coaches? And then we can, I could read the proclamations actually, since you will all be standing with the teams, if that works.
Are we going to start with the Coachella Valley High School cross-country team first?
Sure.
Okay.
So if the members or whoever's representing the Coachella Valley cross-country team could please come forward. Thank you, and apologies for the awkwardness of my unusually having to lead the meeting and also being present virtually on Zoom, but I'll go ahead and read the proclamation. It's which one of the council members has there for you. It says, whereas the achievements of the Coachella Valley High School CVHS students highlight the commitment, spirit, and pride of the Coachella Valley community and should be recognized. And whereas the CVHS cross-country team has completed its 2022 season, and whereas the cross-country staff and team are to be commended for having a tremendous season this year, and whereas the cross-country team demonstrates that hard work, perseverance, and dedication results in success. And whereas the city of Coachella applauds the coaches, team, parents, administration, and faculty, and the students and alumni of the CVHS for their school spirit. And now, therefore, we, the City Council, the City of Coachella, by the power vested in us, do hereby recognize the Coachella Valley High School cross-country team on their season and urge all citizens of the City of Coachella to wish them well in their remaining high school days.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
This one is Cross Country athlete? They're running somewhere? Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you and congratulations.
Any football players here? Yes. Okay, come up here. Maybe we have one over there, one right here. Or both in the middle. One here.
Councilmember Beaman Jacinto, you want me to read the proclamation or you want to read that one as well?
Sure, if one of you would like to read it, we can take turns.
Whereas the achievements of Coachella Valley High School CVHS students highlight the commitment, spirit, and pride of the Coachella Valley community and should be recognized. And whereas the CVHS football team has completed its 2022 season, and whereas the football staff and team are to be commended for having a tremendous season this year. And whereas the football team demonstrates that hard work, perseverance, and dedication results in success. And whereas the city of Coachella applauds the coaches, teams, parents, administration, faculty, and the Arab students and alumni of Coachella Valley High School for their school spirit. And now, therefore, I, Stephen Hernandez, Mayor of the City of Coachella, and City Council by the power vested in me, do hereby recognize Coachella Valley High School football team on their season and urge all citizens of the city of Coachella to wish them well in their remaining high school days. Congratulations.
On behalf of Coachella Valley High School football team, these young men have been practicing hard since July, June, summertime, last May. These two guys right here are seniors, our center and our tackle, also linebackers. Back 20 some years ago, I dyed my hair blonde too to play football. I think it went too hard and fall off, but hope you guys don't have the same fate. But it's just something about tradition and being in high school football and just being a Coachella guy. I went to the same high school, played the same field, and it's just pride, man. When you're in Coachella, you have a lot of pride, and these guys showed it all year and the 4 years they've been there. So very proud of these young men.
All right, so the next proclamation on the agenda goes to the girls golf team. Councilmember Galarza, would you like to read that one?
Yeah, got it.
Thank you.
Whereas the achievements of Coachella Valley High School students highlight the commitment, spirit, and pride of the Coachella Valley community and should be recognized. And whereas the CVHS girls golf team has completed the 2022 season, and whereas the girls golf staff and team are to be commended for having a tremendous season this year, and whereas the girls golf team demonstrated the hard work, perseverance, and dedication results in success. And whereas the city of Coachella applauds the coaches, team, parents, administration, faculty, and the Arab students and alumni of the Coachella Valley High School for their school spirit. And now, therefore, I, Neftali, and Stephen, it says Stephen Hernandez, but I think I'm a little more handsome, so I'll say Neftali. Now, as on behalf of Stephen Hernandez, our mayor, the city of Coachella, by the power vested in him, do by here recognize Coachella Valley High School's girls golf team and on their season and urge all citizens of the city of Coachella to wish them well in their remaining high school days. Felicidades.
Okay, so the next proclamation on the agenda is for the girls tennis team. And I will read that one.
What's your name? Mucho gusto.
Okay, where the proclamation for the girls tennis team says the following. Whereas the achievements of the Coachella Valley High School students highlight the commitment, spirit, and pride of the Coachella Valley community and should be recognized. And whereas the CVHS girls tennis team has completed its 2022 season, and whereas the girls tennis staff and team are to be commended for having a tremendous season this year. And whereas the girls tennis team demonstrates that hard work, perseverance, and dedication results in success. And whereas the city of Coachella applauds the coaches, team, parents, administration, faculty, and students and alumni of the Coachella Valley High School for their school spirit. Now therefore, Stephen Hernandez and the City Council of the City of Coachella, by the power vested in us, do hereby recognize the Coachella Valley High School girls tennis team on their season and urge all citizens of the City of Coachella to wish them well in their remaining high school days.
All right, we got a cool proclamation here for the Coachella Valley High School's girls volleyball team. I know you did extremely well. You've had a few years of doing pretty good. I've gone to a few of the games. This is a City of Coachella, California proclamation, whereas the achievements of Coachella Valley High School CVHS students highlights the commitment, spirit, and the pride of the Coachella Valley community and should be recognized. And whereas CVHS girls volleyball team has completed its 2022 season. And whereas the girls volleyball staff and team are to be commended for having a tremendous season this year. And whereas the girls volleyball team demonstrates the hard work, perseverance, and dedication results in success. And whereas the city of Coachella applauds the coaches, teams, parents, administration, faculty, and the Arab student and alumni of the Coachella Valley High School for their school spirit. Now, you guys went undefeated, I believe. No, yeah, you went undefeated and you guys won league. That's pretty second year in a row. That's pretty awesome. I've seen, you know, you guys spike a ball. That's pretty impressive. And it says now, therefore, I, Stephen Hernandez, Mayor of the City of Coachella and the City Council, by the powers vested in us, do recognize the Coachella Valley High School girls volleyball team on their season and urge all citizens of the City of Coachella to wish them well in the remaining high school days. So, felicidades. Congratulations. We have another proclamation, but that's for code enforcement appreciation. We can move on to that in a little bit, but let me just congratulate all the recipients of these proclamations, all the student athletes. So it's, yeah, bring them up here. All of you guys get up here. And I guess that is the message, right? Student athletes, student first, athlete second. And just to elaborate on all of that, you know, believe it or not, I was a student athlete along with your athletic director, Jason Castillo. Jason and I back in the day were student athletes, and he was quite the linebacker, running back, not fullback sometimes, I think. And the things you guys learn here, you're going to take it throughout life. You know, hard work, dedication, discipline, teamwork, that all pays off. It all pays off. So we're really proud of you. We're really proud of what you guys have done. I know that we all have a mutual connection, which is we all went to school in a 110-year-old high school. No, 110 years. I think that's how old the high school is. And so 112, who's counting? We are. And that's something that bonds us all. But I know that working with your leaders, we're looking at possibly a new school. You may not, well, actually, you're not going to get there, but you're going to leave something better. And so we're all proud of you guys. Great work, huh?
Mayor, if I may also chime in as a fellow student athlete. I was a softball player, all of you, and a little known fact about me that people have been whispering around is that I'm in the Hall of Fame in my state for being a student athlete. And I haven't played sports for so long, but I can tell you from experience that everything that you're learning and experiencing now as outstanding student athletes can translate into your future careers, even if they're not sports related careers. It'll help you in your preparation and your mental discipline, in your competitiveness and your understanding of winning and losing and what you still learn even when you lose and so forth. So, keep up all of your hard work. It's fun and you're kicking butt, and it's really going to help you in your future as well. Congratulations to all of you.
And we also want to thank all the coaches. Thank you for doing what you do every single day. I know. All right, we do have one more proclamation to hand out, and it's being handed out to a group of folks that when they come knocking on your door, sometimes you don't appreciate them, but we appreciate them because they they keep our city looking beautiful and keep our city looking orderly. And so this is a proclamation for Code Enforcement Officer Appreciation Week. So I know Renee, are you here? Bring your team up. Where is Renee Rosales? Actually, Gabe, are you gonna represent your team? Ah, Renee, you look great in a suit. Welcome, everybody. And let me just go ahead and read the proclamation. This is a City of Coachella, California proclamation, whereas the state of California has proclaimed the second week of October as Code Enforcement Officer Appreciation Week, and whereas code enforcement officers provide the safety, health, and welfare of citizens through the enforcement of local, state, and federal laws and ordinances dealing with various issues of building, zoning, housing, animal control, environmental health, and life safety. And whereas code enforcement officers have challenging and demanding roles and often do not receive recognition for the job they do in improving the quality of life for residents and businesses of local communities. That's because when we hear from them, it's like, what did they do to me? And whereas the role of many code enforcement officers has expanded in recent years, with jurisdictions increasingly relying on the expertise and training of code enforcement officers in their communities. And whereas code enforcement officers are dedicated, highly qualified, and highly trained professionals who share the goal of preventing neighborhood deterioration, enhancing communities, ensuring safety, and preserving property values through knowledge, training, and applications of housing, zoning, and nuanced laws. And whereas the city of Coachella recognizes and honors the code enforcement officers to serve our community and acknowledge their role in leading the way to improve quality of life within our community. Now, therefore, I, Stephen Hernandez, Mayor of the City of Coachella, and the City Council, by the powers vested in us, do hereby recognize Code Enforcement Officer Appreciation Week and encourage all citizens of the City of Coachella to recognize and expressing our appreciation for the dedication and service by the individuals who serve our code enforcement as code enforcement officers. So thank you so much, Renee. We got a little proclamation for you, and the mic is yours.
Just a quick thing on behalf of the department, we want to say thank you. I think this award, actually, we're going to be sharing it with all city staff. it takes all the city staff, directors, management to make sure that we complete our work in a timely manner. So thank you, guys. So we got Gabriel here, which is our director. Got Jessica here as our department assistant. Sarah here just moved over from the county of Riverside. She's been working with us for 6 months. Actually, she passed probation yesterday, so congratulations to her. To my right, we have Joel. He just came from the county of Riverside Probation Department. He just passed probation yesterday as well. Pete's been with us for a bit. So this is our team. And like I said, it takes a whole city staff to actually complete everything we have to do. So thank you, guys. Yeah, I said Pete. I didn't forget him. He's actually our senior officer here. So thank you, Pete, for your work.
Yeah, I've looked, the job you all do is invaluable. You guys interface with our community on a daily. You educate them as well, and that's very, very important. Last meeting, Councilmember Galarza talked about, hey, the trash cans and people are getting tickets, and I actually corrected them and said, hey, you know, the ordinance says that you have to hide your trash cans and they can't be in the view of the street. So that's something that providing education and working with our residents to get things done is no easy task, but it's greatly appreciated. So on behalf of all of us here in the city, we thank you for your work. It means a lot. You know, the physical look of our community is important. You all play a huge role, right, in fighting blight and keeping our street values or our home values up. You all do a great job in enforcing zoning and all the different ordinances that are required, and it's greatly appreciated. So keep up the good work. And the best part, you guys are all bilingual too. So I think I think you guys speak, you know, Mandarin, if I'm not mistaken. And so we appreciate you all. They're led by their fearless leader, Gabriel Perez, a community who's also wearing a brand new suit. Look at that, Gabe. You look amazing. Gabe, you know how I know your suit's brand new is because you forgot to take off the little stitch in the back. Well, next we have our friends from the Imperial Irrigation District to talk about the Energy Assistance Program. Welcome. You don't look like Trinio Redondo.
How you doing, Mayor?
How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. So, thank you. It's a pleasure being here. Good afternoon, Mayor Hernandez, members of the Coachella City Council. My name is Lee Hernandez, and I'm the new Public Affairs Specialist assigned to the La Quinta office for our Imperial Irrigation District office. So today I'm here basically to talk about our energy assistance programs that we have for our community customers. Okay, so just a little about IID. Basically, we are an irrigation district and public power provider, one of our 8 energy balancing authorities in California. We're electrical service area we provide that service to approximately 6,898 square miles. We serve approximately a population of 450 people through 157,000 customer accounts. And we're honestly amongst the lowest energy rates in California. Right here is a picture basically of our service area. We obviously have the eastern part of the Coachella Valley. We have the Imperial Valley, and we got a little bit of San Diego County, the most eastern part of San Diego County. Okay. So one of my main responsibilities is to promote and inform our residential electrical customers about our energy assistance program. For example, IID offers several income qualified assistance programs designed to help our customers meet their energy needs. For example, we have the Residential Energy Assistance Program, also known as REAP, which provides income qualifying customers with 20% discount on their electric bill. In addition, ID offers a 30% REAP discount to income qualified seniors. So basically, if you're a senior and you qualify for the program, you get an additional 10% on top of that. And the customer age is 62 or older. We also have our Emergency Assistance Program, which assists our customers facing disconnection for non-payment. It's a quarterly program. To those who participate in the REAP program, they may qualify for up to $75 or $100 per quarter on their electrical bill. We also have our Medical Equipment and Energy Usage Assistance Program. We call it the MEUP program. It's an assistance program that reduces the electrical rate for a defined quantity of electricity used to operate medical equipment by a household that has a full-time resident who requires specific medically necessary electric equipment to sustain life or prevent deterioration of a person's medical condition. So some of the equipment that may qualify for this type of service would be sleep apnea machines, hospital beds, compressors, oxygen tanks, pressure pumps, respirators, and in some instances, ultrasonic nebulizers. So those are some of the examples. And if you have any questions, I'll be more than happy to have is there any questions you may have?
Well, thank you for your presentation. I think what is the best way for our residents to take advantage of this? Who do they call? One of them would be our 1-800 number. That would be one of the most one of the best options to connect with us. So the 1-800 number, actually right here. So they can connect with us either through our website or through our social network, and also through our 1-800 number. Again, among the mentioned, some of the other responsibilities, if I may, basically, sorry, my mistake. Okay, so among the mentioned responsibilities, I'm also responsible to offer community presentations and clinics. So for example, on Wednesday, December 7th, we're going to be hosting a REAP presentation at the Coachella Senior Center. We will be giving a presentation to approximately 60 seniors. So that's something that we have scheduled for that day. We're also looking for an opportunity to host future REAP clinics. Our clinics are very important because we can enroll our customers right on the spot. So that's something that I'm working on to ensure that our customers, have that available service. And also, and if I may, I would like to make an announcement regarding our Tree for All program. So basically, we launched this program, and which will provide residential electrical customers with a free shade tree, which is taking place here in the city of Coachella. The upcoming event is on Saturday, November 12th at the Rancho Las Flores Park from 8 to 1 p.m. IID partnered with the Arbor Day Foundation and Legace Consulting Company to administer the program with funding provided through IID's public benefit charge. So basically, shade trees provide many benefits, including potential to reduce residential energy costs by up to 20%. And again, we would like to thank the city of Coachella for your support. This includes Maritza Martinez, who's been in communication with our team, and we hope to continue having events like this in the coming years. Okay.
Thank you. We appreciate your work that you all are doing for just energy and environment. On both sides, it's energy and environment. You guys are doing a good job. Thank you so much.
No, thank you so much.
Council,
And again,
any questions?
Congratulations on your new role. Where are you joining us from?
like I spent basically 9 years in the student assembly before here. but I'm originally from Imperial Valley.
Oh, good.
So-
Whose office were you in this?
Shirley Weber.
Oh, nice. Amazing. I loved her education policy.
Yeah, so she's currently our Secretary of State, so.
Good, man. It's good to hear that story about Imperial County. You know, I'm from Oasis, right next door to Imperial County. And now you're back. So welcome home and welcome to the Eastern Coachella Valley.
No, thank
Look
you so
forward to
much.
working with you and getting to know you.
Thank you so much. And again, I look forward to working with you. If there's anything that we can help with, please connect with us and we'll do our best to provide you a great service.
Thank you so much.
Good.
Mr.
Thank you.
Hernandez, thank you for being here. We have another presentation from the College of the Desert, PACE, free CVAGs, CVWD online landscaping certificate training for landscapers applying for a or renewing a business license. That's a long title.
Yes.
But it's,
Well, first of all, thank you so much for this opportunity to be here tonight. My name is Veronica Isidieta. I am the Director of PACE. That's Partnership and Community Education. And we're the not-for-credit fee-based training part of the college. And part of our job is to connect with organizations. And we've partnered with the Coachella Valley Association of Governments to host the Landscaper Certification Program. So the mission of the program is to provide workforce training for landscapers here in the Coachella Valley and to address the need to reduce dust emissions to improve our air quality. So I'd like to show a very short video that'll give you a little introduction to the program and why we developed it.
Welcome to the Overseeing Certification course for landscapers in the Coachella Valley. This course is brought to you by the Coachella Valley Association of Governments, or CVAG. The Coachella Valley Association of Governments, in partnership with the Coachella Valley cities, have adopted a valley-wide ordinance to improve air quality. Coachella Valley area landscapers and landscape-related businesses are being asked to join the clean air effort by using alternative turf renovation and seeding techniques. CVAG has created this course to help educate landscape professionals about these alternative techniques. Completion of this overseeing certification course is required to obtain a new landscape-related business license. The primary goal is to reduce dust emissions, specifically to reduce PM10 dust emissions during fall turf overseeing. Let's learn a little more about PM10 dust emission.
All right, thank you so much. So as you can see, this training provides an explanation and solutions to major air pollution problems here in the Coachella Valley. The landscaper, oops, let's go back here. Here we go. The landscaper training is for landscapers who are applying for a new business license or renewing their license. The training certification is good for 1 year. So we're asking landscapers to take the training each year as a refresher. The training was developed in response to the Clean Air Plan and the need to meet the state air quality standards. CVAG organized an Energy and Environment Resource Committee to do more for our air quality, which included the training for our Coachella Valley landscapers. The certification training program is free. It's no cost to the landscapers. It's fast. It takes about 30 to 60 minutes to complete each section. It's bilingual. We offer it in both English and Spanish, and it's very convenient. It can be accessed from any computer, home, office, laptop, library, wherever they can do, even their smartphone, or at PACE. So we're here at PACE to assist anyone who needs help in accessing the training, if they need help printing the certificate, or if they just need to use a computer. We are located in the Palm Desert Mall, and we do have a computer lab that is available to the landscapers Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. So the training will provide an overview of PM10 dust emission, turf renovation, and seeding techniques to reduce dust emission and improve air quality. It provides an in-depth guide and best practices for reseeding. It reviews water conservation goals, recycling, green waste, topsoil, and compost as they relate to proper seeding techniques. To ensure that the trainees are obtaining information, we do have periodic knowledge checks throughout the training. And once they finish the training, they will receive a certificate of completion. And they can take that to the city once they get their license. In 2016, CVAG partnered with the Coachella Valley Water District to expand the landscaper certification training program to address water certification conservation. This training provides information relating to best practices of water conservation to include desert-friendly low water use and turf grass water efficiency. Again, the training is designed to make sure that they are obtaining the skills with periodic knowledge checks. And this one has an assessment at the end. Trainees have to achieve 70% or greater to earn their certificate. So together we can make a difference. And we're here today just to ask for your support of the training program, to work with CVAG and College of the Desert, to share that information with the landscapers. We have provided brochures at the city offices that you're welcome to hand out to stress the importance of the training and to refer any individuals to PACE if they need assistance. So again, I just thank you for your time tonight and then also your contribution to clean air and water conservation.
Well, thank you,
Thank
Veronica,
you.
for that presentation. Any questions, Council?
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you for being here.
I have a couple of questions.
Yeah.
Just quickly, thank you to the presenter. Are there any other outreach efforts to landscapers to notify them of these programs other than the brochures that you mentioned?
Yes, so we have soliciting the city's help here. And what we're asking is if you could put that information on your websites, that'll help us promote it. It's promoted on College of the Desert's website and also on CVAG. So they have access actually to the link through all of those websites. And if you can assist us with that, that would be greatly appreciated.
Okay. The other question I had, it's somewhat related, and I've talked about this many times up here on the dais, is that there's a pretty big need for assistance or support in helping professionals like landscapers and other manual trades to get to the level of having their own licenses so that they also can be business owners rather than employees. Is that anything that the College of the Desert is providing, or are there any programs that exist for that type of support?
So through our department, we are the not-for-credit, and we do have some different certificate programs in different industries. Professional security officer, we're working closely with the cannabis industry. We've got a lot of healthcare training programs. So our goal is to have a trainee attain skills that help them get their foot into the industry that they want to work in and then grow. Of course, they can go into further education through the credit side of the house or through career paths.
Okay, I'd love to connect with you separately about talking about opportunities to, I think this would fit into the PACE side of things, to offer classes that just prepare tradesmen for licensing exams, which are not credit oriented, but they help people get to the next level in their profession. So I'd love to connect with you offline if that's possible.
That would be great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we'll move on now to the next presentation. Maritza, this is on Lighting and Landscape Maintenance District.
Good evening, council members. Can you see my screen?
We can.
Great. So you can go ahead and start the slideshow. This presentation was to give the council just an overview of the community meeting that we had at LMD number 33, which is Vista Escondida, located off of Avenue 54. We had this meeting on October 25th. And here's a map of the track LMD 33. It's been fully built out in the last 6 months. And there's a couple of improvements that were deferred because this was one of the communities that was not completely built out in the early 2000s. So it is fully built out, and those deferred improvements that correspond to the LMD are the 3 red dots that you see on the map, which are retention basins that were built but not landscaped, and the 1 blue dot that you see, which is a small pocket park that was not completed by the developer at that time and was identified to be completed at a future time. So we are moving forward with the landscape of the 3 basins. The 3 basins are going to have desert scape, very similar to majority of our basins, and they're going to correspond with the approved landscape plans for the tract as it was originally approved. We did want to connect with the community and get some feedback as it pertains to the park options. As it is a pocket park, and we wanted to get some feedback about what the community wanted to be included in amenities for that pocket park. We did start with the approved improvements that were part of the landscape plans that were approved with this track. So that is identified as option number 1 here. And option number 1 is only a volleyball court. It does have passive lighting. It has a gazebo. It has picnic tables, benches, and a lot more turf areas than the other 2 options. We had heard primarily through social media, there had been some comments, and then even in prior community meetings that the LMD has had, we had heard some comments about wanting some additional more play structures at this community. This community has about a 2.5 acre park, but really doesn't have a play structure as part of those amenities at that park. So we designed option 2 and 3 with a tot lot that does take away some of the grass and turf area that you see here to accommodate a tot lot. In option 2 and 3, 1 has a swing set and is a smaller playground structure, and the option 2 does not have a swing set and is a larger playground structure. Majority of the community was very much in favor of option 2. That was almost unanimous. I think there were close to 60 attendees at this meeting. And of those 60, there's probably only a couple that may have wanted to go with the swing set option, but there is actually a swing set already at the larger park at this community. So overwhelmingly, option 2 was the favorite. The only thing that we did hear back is that they would like to see if we can include shade structure at this location. So, and I covered this. So we did have, as I mentioned, a very good attendance at this meeting, and this was the preferred option by the community. Our next steps would include completing the design plans for the landscape of the 3 basins and the pocket park correspondent to the recommendation of the community, including a shade structure over the playground area as a bid alternate for the playground, and seeing what those costs come back through. If it is possible to fund them, then we will have that discussion with the council once the bid results come back through. And we'll publish these bid and specifications about 30 days. Thereafter, we hope to be able to come back to the council in January for an award, and with construction anticipated in the early year of 2023. With that, I'm happy to answer any questions of the council.
Any questions? I had an opportunity to attend the community meeting. It was well attended. There was a lot of good participation, and I think a lot of folks are very appreciative not only of this project, but also the street repaving that's going on. So they're typical Coachella asks for more speed bumps, which is something
Yes,
that
they did.
happens in Coachella. So, but all in all, good work, Maritza. Thank you for your presentation.
Thank you.
If there are no other questions, I'll move forward on the Frontier Fiber project. Is there, welcome. I've seen you working.
We are here.
Yes.
Mr. Mayor, City Council, my name is Doug McAllister. I'm the Vice President for Verizon, focusing on external affairs. And I sincerely appreciate the time. I've sat on your side of the dais for many, many years. I retired from office in 2012. And I remember presentation periods that I went through, many of which were interesting, some which were not as much. And so my goal for tonight is to be in the former category, be a little more interesting than not, and kind of do two things. One is give you a little detail about what's going on with our build here and how it fits into the larger scheme of things. The second thing is to introduce myself to you. That's my primary reason for being here. Your city manager and I have already had our discussions as well. And my role is a new one for Frontier. It is, I used to work with Verizon many years ago as external affairs. And then when Frontier purchased Verizon way back when, they decided that Frontier decided they didn't need me. So I went back to my consulting at that point. But about 9-10 months ago, I got recruited to come back to work for Frontier. They're in the middle of a build I'm going to tell you about here in a second. But it's one of the agreements I had with them, and those who have worked with me know I'm serious as a hard attack about this, is I agreed to come back to help with their build on one condition, and that is why they pay me, I work for you. And what I mean by that is that when it comes to the build, you need an elevated executive level point of contact for this build. One of the things I hated when I was in office, and when I say hated, I mean with capital H, was walking into church or walking into a grocery store or walking into someplace public and being approached by a constituent and getting lambasted, just lambasted. And I would have to tell them many times, I have no idea what you're talking about, but I would have to find out. And when I didn't have somebody to talk to find out, it was very frustrating. And so one of the goals I have here, of two, basically, one is to see to that as much as possible, when it comes to anything we're doing here in your town, you already have the answers. So when somebody approaches you and they ask you a question, you can say, oh yeah, well, Doug said, or I know about this or whatever else. The other is that if you get approached and you don't have the answers, you have access to me. Your city manager has my cell number. It goes to this phone. And the purpose of that is to have that access to the higher level side of Frontier to get the answers you need, or to expedite or escalate issues so we get them fixed sooner than later. You'll have access. You can have my cell number. The only thing I do ask is two things. Don't put it on your website, and don't give it to constituents. This is for us to have this conversation. My team can take care of most things, and they learn about those things. But when it comes to a situation where you have a question, or maybe things aren't moving as fast as you like them to be, that's what I'm for, just to give me a call about that. Now, that's all introduction. The rest of this is going to be as fast as possible. I don't want to answer questions you're not asking, so I'm going to kind of speed through here if I can figure out how to do this.
So what city you serve? You mentioned
Murrieta.
Murrieta.
For this, back in 2012, I retired as a mayor, way back when.
I work at Sky Canyon about twice a month.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, well, you still work there?
Yeah, I go there like twice a month. Yeah.
Did you work there before 2012?
No.
Oh, okay. Well,
I was in high school.
I'm always looking for people who may or may not have voted for me, so who knows? We'll go there. Okay, here we go. I'm going to try to speed through this. Once again, any questions you might have, I want to answer those questions, not the ones you're not asking. This quote is not a Frontier quote. This is a Doug quote. And this is part of why I came back to work with them. And it simply is what I've observed. If you understand corporate culture at all, you understand that when you have a very large multinational company and you want to change directions, it's like changing with a Freightliner with a paddle. It's very difficult to do that. But to their credit, Frontier is trying to make some changes in how they interact with cities and counties and states. And so I summed it up as this, is that if we're going to do something bigger than we have ever done before, then we better do business better than we've ever done before. I think they're very serious about that. That's why I exist in the company. I'm the only one in the country who exists in the company, and we're working this out in California, and because they're very focused on doing this better, and that's why I'm here. I'm only going to talk the first three here because of time. The first one here, the fiber network that we're bringing here, is 100% fiber. And this is back to the detail side of things. So that's why I'm going quick. It's 100% fiber from our central office to the customer's home. And I'm going to explain what that looks like here in a second. But the bottom line here is this is fiber that goes from the central office all the way to your house. There's no copper in between. And what that allows us to do is pretty extraordinary when it comes to the network that we're bringing to your city. The second thing here, households can connect to multiple devices at once without worries. I read a study a few months ago I don't know why, because I don't really read studies much, but I read this study. It's probably on LinkedIn or something. But it said there were 22 in the average household. There were 22 connected devices. I thought that there's no way. That's too many. So I got to counting. I have myself, my wife, and our cat. So the three of us, I started counting through there, and we have 15 devices at our house. And so 22 is probably not a stretch. The point is that with this network that we're bringing to you and to your constituents, is that you can have all 22 of those devices going full bore and it will not slow down. It's that robust when it comes to the speeds. And the third thing here, this comes to those speeds, high speed internet for our friends here. It's a fiber optic speeds up to 2 gigs a second. And when we talk about that, we're mainly talking 3, and I'll show this in a second, where we have 500, a gig, or 2 gigs. And what this is not 500 down and 5 up. You know, it's 500 down and up. It's a gig down or up and up, and it's 2 gigs. Why someone needs 2 gigs, I don't know, but 2 gigs down and up. The other thing about this is that it's one and done. We're bringing this to your city, and it's not going to be one of those things where, oh, you know, somebody says, you know, 2 gigs, that was great, but that's so yesterday. We need 5 gigs now. So now we got to come back in and tear up the streets again and everything else. That's not the case. Once we have this infrastructure and connected within your entire city, somebody decides that, you know, the market says, you know, 2 gigs was great, but now we want 5, or now we want 10, or now we want 25. We just change the network, the light network that's in the central office. And now we've moved on to that. So what this does is future proofs you for making sure your constituents have an extremely robust, massively fast internet connections, you know, in perpetuity. I have this here just because it's 500 up and down, a gig up and down, and then 2 gigs up and down. That's mainly to show this is also very affordable. We have programs for low income as well. That's even cheaper than this. If they qualify for them, but this is not something where you're going to get 500 megs up and down in speed per second, but it's going to cost you $300 a month. It's not the case. This could be very affordable. And these are not door breaker prices. These are going to be the general prices in perpetuity. I mentioned how it goes there. I'm just going to throw this in real quickly. We have the central office, and then the fiber, then it goes to what's called a hub. And from the hub, it goes to a terminal, and then it goes to the house itself. And that's what allows for the speeds you're going to have. And that's the construction that you're going to be seeing here. Let me pause on this on that concept for construction right now. We have extremely qualified folks who do the builds and the subcontractors and everything else. But one thing they all have in common, they're human. And every now and then something doesn't go right. And I'm going to talk about a couple of those instances in the future. But in those situations, when something does not go right, I want to know about it. So if you've got a constituent that comes out and says, they're doing stuff in the front yard of my house, or in the street in front of my house, what's going on and stuff, that means somewhere along the lines, the communication broke down. And so you have someone to call, and we'll make sure somebody gets out there and explains what's going on as well. The last thing, I'm trying to provide cover, if you will, for you and for your staff, so that we can this is our build. We're paying for it. It's our responsibility, not yours. So therefore, we should have the accountability to come forward and take care of your constituents in the process. These are a couple of examples of how it's done. We have hubs there at the top. Yeah, everybody's top left, in the ground, in aerial, which is real fast and easy. And then there's the aerial terminals as well. I'm not getting into the details of that unless you have questions. But what I will say here is that our policy is that when we're coming to put these in, they're number one, be unobtrusive as possible. And we want to leave that location at least as good, if not better, than we found it. And if any of that is not happening, I want to hear about it. We're very focused on communication. This is one of those areas where you might get calls. The ones on the left are door hangers that have contact information on there. The ones to the right are yard signs, and anything else that Dr. Martin asked us to do, we'll do to communicate to your constituents. We want to put stuff on your websites if possible, whatever we can do to communicate with them. But if they're like me, I go into my house through the garage, and I leave my house from the garage. And so my front door becomes a collector spot for door hangers. So every so often I'll go out and I'll pull them all off and throw them away. Won't even look at them. And what happens here is that we will have put door hangers on houses sometimes, but they literally did not see them. And so they'll think they weren't notified. And as far as I'm concerned, they weren't. And so in those cases, if you get those calls, we want to hear about them so that we can go explain what we're about to do. Ideally, they'll know 72 hours ahead of time before anything happens so they can be prepared. I'm going to ask Sean Murphy, one of my folks on my team, to come up here and explain. He's going to be handling a lot of this, and he can explain where this is happening, what the build looks like. So Sean, if you could do that.
Good evening. So as you can see, the dark border line, that's the actual city boundaries for Coachella itself. The different colors in the middle there along Highway 111 and bordered by Highway 86, that's the bulk of the build. So this is the main portion of the city of Coachella. Then down towards the bottom, you have two other locations down towards the base. Now, if you notice that they don't fall within the city of Coachella, but it falls within our actual build territory. And each one of those colors represents a different build and a different work order in the area that we're going to be doing the work. So there's 29 different projects that we're going to be doing, and we'll work with the city and we'll set everything up to where it's as minimally intrusive as possible for the residents. So we won't go in and just inundate one particular area. We'll work with the city and the Public Works Department to set things up in a positive light to where we can not only get the build completed properly and timely, but we'll also get it done in a way where we minimize the impact to the city and the residents. So, thank you.
And so basically what we're trying to explain here, now there'll be some areas you may see that aren't covered. They are covered. We already built them out. However, if you have any questions about this map and see something where you think, well, what about this area? What about that area? Feel free to feed those, either through Dr. Martin or directly to me, and I'll get those answers for you as well. Questions? I try to go fast.
Thank you. Council, any questions?
Is there a cheat sheet for all the colors? You said they all mean a different thing.
Probably somewhere. We could probably get that for you. Basically, your staff will have that. Those represent the different jobs, and there's an order and a phasing to it. We're already started, as you know. I believe it's a rather large job. And so we're looking sometime in July and September of this following year to complete the whole thing. But your staff is going to be very, very aware of the phasing of this because we need to get permits and we need to do all of that. So where all that's going. As of now, I do not know exactly the timing on each color.
So you're thinking 9 months in total?
Somewhere in there.
Okay.
It depends. If everything goes super smoothly, but there's always hiccups. If there's hiccups, it might be a little bit longer.
And then we expect you to interface with us in terms of how the project's going, maybe
Absolutely.
every quarter.
Whatever you need. Once again, I'm here for you. I mean, that's quite literally true. And so any questions you have, you'll have my cell number. I'll leave extra cards if necessary as well. And you can call me if you have any questions. But absolutely, we'll give you as much information as you
I
need.
imagine that a lot of the questions we're going to get is from our constituents who are pretty happy, right? I think because you're making this investment and they're probably working from home and increasing internet speed, et cetera. So maybe provide our city with some brochures on how people can,
Absolutely.
actually get the service in the future.
And we get those things electronically as well as put them on your website. I do know as a quick story, kind of inside baseball here. When I was first elected in 2003, one of my jobs, as far as I decided, was I was going to be the business guy on the council. And I did some research, and for Marietta at that time, the only thing that we lacked to go from a better community to a business community was a broadband backbone. So I went to work on that. And I was new on the council, so I thought we could do anything. And so I was trying to find a solution for that. And I did. I found several. The minimum cost was $400 million. We didn't have that. I'm not sure who really would. About that time, I was approached by Verizon at the time to do this new thing called Fios. And they told me all about it and all this fiber stuff, how much faster. Well, everything I told you, only it wasn't as fast then. And all I heard was blah, 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 free. I was going to get our broadband backbone for nothing. And so not only did we agree to have them come on in, we agreed to have them do the entire city at once. I do not recommend that, which gets back to your phasing question. We need to move this in a way that's not going to be that impactful to the city. So we phase through now. But I will tell you the result of that, to your point, was we went from a bedroom community to a biotech community within a few years of having that project completed, primarily because we added the broadband backbone. People were able to work from anywhere. And that was back when it was like the speeds was 200 up and down, and not nowhere near 500 or a gig or 2 gigs. And so now post-COVID, folks working from home and things, this provides for great economic development opportunity for your city. Obviously, it's economic development for Frontier too, but it's a benefit for both sides as well. That's why I want to partner with you. I'll be working with Dr. Martin. Our teams are going to be working together. There may be times that he and I are in the room with our teams to make sure everybody plays nice and get solutions going forward. But we'll find ways to make this as collaborative as possible so you'll see the benefits I saw all those years ago.
I do have a suggestion, and you know, going back to your key tenets that you have up here in terms of how you want to serve your house, you know, in terms of your physical infrastructure. There's a little building here on 7th Street that's a little subpar in terms of how it looks, in terms of how it blends in with our community, in terms of the attention that you all have given. And so if you're going to be making this investment and then benefiting from the business side of that investment by getting more customers, we also expect you to, you know, make some improvements in your physical infrastructure that's been here, and it's a little tired. Landscaping should be, I mean, Doug, you were a council member in Marietta. You probably served with Supervisor Washington and a few others there.
Yeah, I followed him.
Yeah. You guys are pretty tough on making sure that the built environment and what you expect as a community from the business
I'm
side is
smiling
met.
because this is my pet peeve, is that we're trying to impress people, and then many times our wire centers are just at best boring, and many times it's worse than boring. It's ugly. And part of the look of it is due to how homeland security issues and environmental things that we have to have inside, but we can do better. So I hear you. Trust me, I hear you.
You want to go on a walk? We can go on a walk and we
I
can
bet we-
look at your physical infrastructure.
Okay, perhaps we will.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
I just wanted to ask, because I heard from some of our partners in Cathedral City that there were some outages or some kind of issues in a similar project in Cathedral City. So I wanted to ask how you'll go about avoiding service interruptions or power outages throughout the duration of the project.
I will tell you those things will happen. Unfortunately, it has to do many times with, we have the USA markings to tell us where the utilities are. And I keep looking up there. I'm not sure where you actually are, but they have for the other utilities there. And if they are mismarked, sometimes we hit things. That's a best case scenario. Every once in a while, we have a contractor that takes a shortcut and something happens. Regardless of what happens, typically our teams jump to it very, very quickly. If it's another utility that was, whether it's water or sewer or whatever, they get that going as quickly as possible. But I'm typically alerted every time. And the idea here is I try to make sure that this is resolved rather quickly. I think about 80% of this build is new build, which means we're going underground. So that's directional bore and trenching and things like that. We have other methods as well that we can talk about with your team that may make things a little bit easier. But our whole idea is to not have that happen. We're here to make money, and until we actually get this done, we're just spending millions of dollars in the community and not making a dime. And so those things are things we do not want to see happen, but every now and then they do, because it's underground. And when that happens, we jump to it. And hopefully it won't happen. Hopefully you'll be the first city in the history of all of this that this never happens, and we'll find out. This build is nationwide, and so there's quite a bit going on right now. It's the largest fiber build, I think, in history. And so that is a problem that we run into too many times, but ideally it won't happen very much here, but if it does, I'm on top of it.
Thank you.
Okay, anyone else?
We'll prepare for it to happen.
Okay, cool. And we'll talk.
Mr. Mayor, just to add some more information, talking to Mr. McAllister, he did indicate that they would be willing to allow us to put artwork on that building that you indicated. And also on those public utility boxes, maybe doing a public art program through those boxes as well. So they were open to that idea, and I think that would enhance the projects.
Well, I certainly think the artwork is a great idea.
I think it's really cool. I'd like to see this throughout our entire network. It turns a negative into a positive.
I think there's simple things like landscaping and fencing that could also be a huge enhancement just to
And
your physical safety of your.
And remove weeds. Maybe.
Uh,
Maybe we'll try that too.
Kind of do that at our house, right? So, you know,
Okay.
All right,
We good?
Thank you.
thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, are there any written communication?
We did receive a letter by email for item number 25, and I can provide more details when we get there.
Okay, thank you. We'll move on now to consent calendar. It's recommended that the consent items be acted upon simultaneously unless separate discussion or action is requested by the city council. What are the wishes of the city council on the consent?
I don't have any to remove. I just want to, commend staff and College Desert for the continuous, partnership and on, item number 18, and, very excited to see that lease extension happen. So, I'll motion to approve the consent calendar.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. I'm going to abstain on item number 17 and 18 for an abundance of caution as they own real property within 1,000 feet of such endeavors. Can we get a roll call, please?
Yes, Councilmember Beaman Jacinto,
Yes.
Councilmember Delgado,
Yes.
Councilmember Galarza,
Aye.
Mayor Hernandez.
Aye, with an abstention on 17 and 18. We'll move on now to business calendar. This is introduction of ordinance number 1199 for first time reading amendment, chapter 4.40, the Coachella Municipal Code for the Transportation Uniform.
Mr. Mayor, that item actually has been moved to a public hearing. There was a mistake we made that correction during the agenda, the first item, and we're moving that to a public hearing. So the first item under new business will be item 22.
22. So introduction ordinance number 1200, first reading, revising municipal code title 15, chapter 1524 for the purpose of adopting the California Fire Code.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the City Council. I believe the fire department is going to be giving a presentation on this. Chris Cox or someone else? Okay.
Welcome.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor, Council. My name is Brian White, Fire Chief for the City of Coachella. I brought with me tonight Assistant Fire Marshal Chris Cox. The item before you is a state mandated requirement that the fire code be updated every 3 years. Chris is your fire marshal and your subject matter expert. Be happy to answer any questions and talk about the relatively small changes within the fire code that occurred during this cycle.
Mr. Cox, welcome.
Good evening, council and staff. As the chief said, every 3 years, the state of California adopts a new California Fire Code. And so we're going through this process. It's now time to do that. In addition, the city of Coachella adopts more restrictive standards, or has the opportunity to adopt more restrictive standards for the city based on climatic, geological, or topographical reasons to justify those changes and more restrictive conditions. For the past numerous cycles over the several years, we're just carrying over those same local, more stringent requirements to this year, in addition to adopting the 2022 Fire Code. And this will go into effect at the first of this year, I believe, right, Gabriel? Is that the first? Okay. So the first of 2023, this will go into effect. So again, there's no major changes to the municipal code, more restrictive ordinance, other than just that we will be regulating what's known as mobile fueling on demand. And that's simply the process where somebody requests fuel for their vehicle, and a truck would come out to their site and fuel their vehicle on site, wherever that may be. So we do, as in the fire marshal's office, we will regulate that process with a permit. And that's really the new scope or content that we've added to the municipal code. Other than that, everything's carrying over with some minor formatting changes, and content for the most part is remaining the same. So with that, I'm available for any questions that you may have regarding this fire code update.
Council, any questions? Seeing none, can we, is there a motion to adopt a new fire code?
Motion to approve.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Can we get a roll call, please?
Apologies. Councilmember Beaman Jacinto,
Yes.
Councilmember Delgado,
Yes.
Councilmember Galarza,
Aye.
Mayor Hernandez.
Aye.
Mayor, if you allow me to read the title into the record, ordinance City Council City of Coachella, California, amending provisions of the California Municipal Code entitled 15, Building and Construction, Chapter 15.24, regarding Title 24, Part 9 of the California Fire Code.
We'll move on now to ordinance, next item, item number 23.
Thank
This
you.
is ordinance 1201, first reading. This is revising California Municipal Code, Title 15 for the purpose of adopting the 2020 California State Building Codes. I'll motion to approve this item unless the council wants a full presentation about the new changes to the building code.
Second.
There's a second. Can we get a roll call, please, if there are no question?
Councilmember Beaman Jacinto,
Yes.
Councilmember Delgado,
Yes.
Councilmember Galarza,
Aye.
Mayor Hernandez.
Yes, we'll move on now
Mayor,
to.
your title to the record, ordinance City Council City of Coachella, California, amending provisions of the California Municipal Code in Title 15, Building and Construction regarding Title 24, Parts 1, 2, 2.1, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 10 through 12.
Thank you. Motion carries. We'll move now on to item number 24, which is to provide direction on the 22 Hometown Heroes. I know last time we left off on this item, we had nominated Chief Bonifacio de la Cruz, retired chief now, and then the suggestion was given that we solicit public input. I'm not sure what those results are, but that's where we're at now today. Maritza?
Yes, Mayor, would you like me to share my screen so I actually received a total of 31 responses. Some were duplicative, but there was a total of 18 individuals that were identified as a result of the SurveyMonkey polling that was done on the city's social media platform. If you give me a second, I will pull up the PowerPoint slide that shows those individuals. And can the council see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Thank you. So these are the nominees from the polling that was done. There are a total of 18. Maria Magdalena Rodriguez, all teachers in Coachella, Fernando Garcia, Sandra Ramirez, Ana V, Assemblymember Eduardo Garcia, Rosie Martinez, Marco Machuca, Coachella Valley High School class of 96, Eugenia Ortiz, Monica Diaz, Emmanuel Martinez. There were 9 entries for that candidate that proposed hometown hero. Gabriel Martin, Johnny Ortiz, Antonio Espinosa, Mario Gallo. There were 5 entries for that individual, Aaron Gasu, and Jesus Badena.
It's a lot, how many people do you usually pick a year?
Usually, we've recommended 2 to 3.
Okay, that's a good number.
It's varied quite a lot. It really is a council's discretion. 2 to 3 would be kind of a staff's recommendation, but that has varied because of multiple reasons we've done. Sometimes we haven't done it for 1 year, and so we've doubled up. So I'll defer to council on what council would prefer, but 2 to 3 would be our recommendation.
I think that's a good recommendation. Given I know hometown heroes, it's sometimes there's folks that are a little older. I see Manuel's nominated 9 times. The sake of democracy and his service to the community. I think Emmanuel should. I'm more than happy to recognize Emmanuel Martinez as a hometown hero.
I'll nominate Maria Magdalena Rodriguez.
I'd like to nominate Sandra Ramirez.
And I would like to nominate Eduardo Garcia as some of the members because he's brought a lot. Good. I think we'll move those forward and we'll go from there.
And Mayor, is that including Chief De La Cruz as well?
Correct. We'll have 5.
Okay, thank you.
I would just kind of add is that Sebastian Fundora also, I think should be also included. If you guys would be willing.
I'm having a hard time hearing council.
I was asking some of my colleagues that if they would also, if they wouldn't mind us adding Sebastian Fundora as well.
I have an idea. Why don't we make him who's our grand marshal for the parade?
The Grand Marshal for the parade will be, is a combination of all of the 2022 artists that the council approved murals that did murals in Coachella during 2022.
I'd actually like to nominate Sebastian Pandora to be our grand marshal as well for the parade. We can recognize him that way. He's done a great job. But his sister.
So as well as the wall.
Yeah, we can have 2 shared grand marshals. He recognizes his accomplishment as an athlete from Coachella.
Okay, support that.
Okay. We'll move forward on that. You don't need a motion on this. I think you got good direction.
I did. Thank you very much, council.
Yeah, good. All right, we'll move now on the public hearing items.
Point of clarification, Mr. Mayor, we added item 24B, which was adopt resolution 22-99, authorizing the grant application acceptance, execution of grant funds from the State of California's Budget Act of 2021, SB 129. It's a library state grant that came to us after the agenda was released, and we need to get it approved by the end of the month in order to receive those funds.
Did you email us that recommendation?
Yes, Andrea emailed that
What
to
is it
everybody.
again? Item what?
24B. And she sent the email on Monday at 5:08.
Okay, I'm gonna abstain from this item. I'm gonna ask that Megan, if you could just take this item, as I own rural property within 1,000 feet of the subject site.
And Selena will be providing a presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you for that, Dr. Martin. Good evening, Honorable Mayor and Council members. Selena Jimenez, Branch Manager for the City of Coachella. The item before you is the Building Forward Library Infrastructure Grant for our Coachella Library retrofitting and renovation project. And basically, in your council packet, you will see that we need to submit a final project budget, a final project implementation plan, a resolution authorizing, approving the acceptance of grant funds and designating the city manager to enter into agreements on behalf of the City of Coachella, and also a current facility lease with the term extending at least 10 years after the end of the grant period. And so we need to do all of these items in order for the state to formally award the grant in the amount of $4,568,807 to address critical systems infrastructure renovations of the nearly century-old Coachella Library Annex building. Once we do all of this, the city is expected to then complete and submit all supporting documents within 30 days of receipt of the official award letter. And that is why we have this urgency item, as we received it after the agenda was published. Any questions? This concludes the presentation. Thank you.
Any questions or discussion, council?
Very excited. Thank you so much, Selena, for all your hard work. When there's no more comments, I'd like to make a motion.
I'll second.
Thank you, Selena.
Thank you.
Okay, I'll take roll. Councilmember Beaman Jacinto,
Yes.
Councilmember Delgado,
Yes.
Councilmember Galarza.
Aye.
Okay, and Mayor Hernandez abstains.
Move back now from the public hearing items. This is item number 25. This is Tripoli mixed use project.
Actually, Mr. Mayor, we moved item 21 to the public hearing, which is the TUMF one.
What's your item number 21?
Thank you, Mayor, members of the City Council. A quick presentation, and we do have Peter Satin from CVAG present also, if there are any questions about this ordinance. Staff is recommending City Council introduce ordinance number 1199, and what this would do is amend our existing TUMF ordinance. Our existing ordinance is a little bit outdated. What this new ordinance would do is allow us to administratively approve the increases in the TUMF fees. They're adjusted by the executive committee. What we usually do is bring back a resolution to the City Council to approve. Instead, with those increases, that could be approved administratively instead of having to come back to council every single year. They prepared a model ordinance for the City Council to consider, and so we're recommending that the City Council do consider that. The increase in TUMF this year due to inflation is 8.2% based on CPI, and that's usually when the rates are increased. So this is what the increase does look like for the year. And it's assessed for single family residential, multifamily, and retail and industrial development. That's the end of my presentation. Staff does recommend that the council introduce the ordinance, and also just a reminder that Peter Satin is available if you have any questions.
Thank you. Council, any questions? All right, I'm going to go ahead and open the public hearing at 7:42. Anyone in the public would like to address the council? Seeing none, I'm going to go ahead and close the public hearing. Council, any questions, or is there a motion? Is there a motion to approve this item?
Full motion approved.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a second. Can we get a roll call, please?
Yes, Councilmember Iman Jacinto,
Yes.
Councilmember Delgado,
Yes.
Councilmember Galarza,
Aye.
Mayor Hernandez.
Aye.
Mayor, read the title, Ordinance City Council of Coachella amending chapter 4.40 of Title 4 of the Coachella Municipal Code pertaining to the collection of transportation uniform mitigation fees.
Okay, we'll move on now to Tripoli Mixed Use Project. This is a request to amend the conditional use permit and architectural review for design revisions, as well as overlay zone guidelines, modification to conditions of approval for the mixed use of development consisting of 108 apartments. Gabriel?
Thank you, Mayor, council members. So this item, you've seen this before. This is the Tripoli mixed use project. You did approve a zone change in the CUP and architectural review for 108 apartment unit development, mixed use with 2 retail spaces on 2.8 acres at the corner of Baghdad and Cesar Chavez Street. The applicant is Chelsea Investment Corporation. And just some background, Plan Commission did recommend approval to council earlier in April. Council approved it in May. And the Plan Commission did consider the applicant's project revisions at a meeting on October 26th and amended some of the conditions of approval. This is the city map that shows the location at the corner of Cesar Chavez and Baghdad Avenue at the northeast corner. And in our Pueblo Viejo revitalization plan, this is the location, gives you an idea of what was kind of envisioned with that plan. One thing I just want to acknowledge, one of the planning commissioners, alternate Commissioner Gutierrez, mentioned the historical building that used to locate on the property. It was called the Covalda Day Company Building. It's been demolished in 1996, but it was constructed in 1913. And in 1983, it was identified as having a historical integrity and was recommended to be included with the National Register of Historic Places, but it was demolished.
It got burned down.
It was burned down.
Mhm.
And this is how the name came about. I guess it's
part of Coachella Valley Day Company, and that's why it was called Covalda. But it was mentioned because maybe the applicant could introduce something with the theming of the project, considering what was there before.
The naming of the project you're thinking?
I don't know about the naming, but I think the applicant is still considering what the name should be, because I think
Tripoli is not an exciting project.
that
Name?
that has been brought up, yes. Just some other background, 58 units are for very low income households and 50 units are for low income households. The former site plan, you did approve a site plan that included 2 buildings. Building A and was a 3-story building. And that included 44 apartment units, a multi-purpose room, and 1,805 square feet of retail space. And that would be at 6th Street in Tripoli, so more at the north building. Building B would be Cesar Chavez and Baghdad Avenue, that corner. That was proposed as a 4-story building with 64 apartment units, 1,296 square feet of community room, and 1,413 square feet of ground retail space. Also outdoor tot lot next to Building B. The applicant does propose a change to the project, and some of the reasons that were mentioned were due to the rising costs in construction and supplies. And that has occurred, and therefore that has led to a need to cut the cost of the construction of this project. So what's proposed now with Building A, and remember Building A is at the corner of 6th Street and Tripoli. The applicant does propose a little bit of a change to the retail. So instead of 1 retail space, they propose to create 2 retail spaces. The ground floor retail would be 2,200 square feet for that retail. You could see instead before there were 2 community rooms. Instead, that's been consolidated into 1 community room in Building A. And so that would be a larger building of 2,200 square feet. Building B, instead of being a 4-story building, it would be decreased to a 3-story building. So all the apartment units still stay the same. They've just been reduced in size. And that's the reason for that is, again, to reduce costs. Building B would include 2,125 square feet of ground retail space. And that's facing Cesar Chavez Street. Before, what was proposed in the original site plan was only 1 retail space. And just want to point out also the outdoor tot lot was moved to the front of Building A, and it's bigger in size. So this is the change. So if you look at the first floor of Building A, that's at the corner of 6th Street and Tripoli. You can see it had 1 retail space. To the right is the proposed. That's divided into 2 spaces. And then the multi-use space is at the south end of the building now. Building B on the left-hand side, you could in color, it showed what the approved floor plan looked like on the first floor. And there was a community room and retail space. So instead that community space was consolidated in the other building, and in its place would be 2 retail spaces facing Cesar Chavez Street. These were the original unit types, and there's 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom, 3 bedrooms. And the square footages, those were reduced in size, and these are the 1 and 2 and 3 bedroom units that are proposed. And here's just a comparison between the 2 buildings and the square footage of each of the different units. And so the distribution changed between the 2 buildings, obviously going from 4 to 3 stories on one of the buildings does require this configuration to change slightly. So instead, Building A was 44 units. Now it's 50 units. Building B, 64 units originally. Now it's proposed to be 58 units. Still 108 units. We already mentioned that the community rooms were merged into 1 to be 2,200 square feet total. So actually it does increase. This was the original design presented to council originally for the original approval. Again, the original design showing the elevations facing Cesar Chavez Street with the ground floor retail and residential above, and also on the ground floor, the elevation facing Baghdad Avenue, architectural design, Spanish colonial revival. This is the elevation facing Tripoli Way at the top, and then the elevation that was approved for 6th Street is shown below. And then just an idea what the material board looked like for the project. Landscape plan, there were recommendations that were made with the conditions of approval, and they have adjusted the landscape plan slightly. We'll go into that in a bit. So these are the elevations that are proposed. These are the color elevations that we have. So at the top, you see what the elevation would look like for 6th Street. So it still would have the ground floor retail, residential above, and at the bottom is the elevation that would face Cesar Chavez Street, right near the corner of Baghdad Avenue and Cesar Chavez. So there you would also have the 2 retail spaces that are proposed, residential on the 2nd and 3rd floor. So instead, remember that this was once a 4-story building. It's been reduced 1 story to 3 stories. Also, there was a condition that was added by the city council about the elevator in both buildings, and that still remains. This is the original revision that we did receive from the applicant. So the applicant did receive comments from planning staff to be able to make modifications. So the top shows the first revision that was provided to staff. We asked for larger windows for the retail on the bottom floor to make it more appealing and to be something that we thought would work better. So this is the elevation that would face 6th Street. They actually added other details like the finials you'll see at the top of the towers, and also to use more of kind of like the window frames, which is called divided lights. That's more in keeping with the Spanish architecture. And so here's a picture that shows Pueblo Viejo villas. One of the things that we did encourage is that 1st floor retail to have just bigger and more open windows and higher windows. So you'll see that change. And so this is the revision that was first brought to us for the elevation facing Cesar Chavez Street for building B. And based on the comments that they received, they made some revisions to the retail at the bottom. Something that we thought needed to happen is that tower, the corner of Baghdad and Cesar Chavez, needed to be moved all the way to the corner. And then also to add a tower that used to be there in the original design on the north end. So just a comparison for commercial space, you can see the commercial space does increase from 2,498 square feet to 4,325 square feet. And then the tot lot size increases to 813 square feet. Parking changes slightly, so from 159 spaces to 142 spaces, but the project is still compliant with required parking for the project. And so we just did a quick side-by-side comparison between what was approved before and what is proposed now. So this is what would be the Cesar Chavez frontage. So the top is what was approved, and below is what's proposed. And so there are some changes. You know, staff does believe that the original design was the optimal design, but we also understand that there are needs to redesign certain aspects of the project due to project costs to make it work. This is building B facing Baghdad Avenue. So at the top is what was originally approved. At the bottom is the Baghdad Avenue frontage. We don't have a color elevation here, but this is the change that was made. For building A, at the north end along Tripoli, this would, at the top was what was approved in color. At the bottom is a black and white version of that elevation. And you can see some of the changes that are recommended. The tower becomes a little bit more reduced in width. Some of the roof characteristics in terms of being undulating are a little bit less in this proposal. And then this is a comparison of the 6th Street frontage. So at the top was what was approved. At the bottom was what was proposed. So in the proposed, they do carry a lot of what we did like about the original retail first floor design. So they are carrying that forward, but they have changed the look of what was proposed with the towers and then the roof design. One of the other things that we recommended, we proposed this to with council in a presentation, was that the trees that would be, they would be shade trees, and then they would be separated, actually be adjacent to the curb and create more shade for pedestrians down the street, kind of consistent with the Pueblo Viejo revitalization plan. We'll go into that a little bit. That was actually, the Plan Commission was okay to change that and bring it back to what was done with the Pueblo Viejo Villas project, where the trees are behind the existing sidewalk.
The planning commission approved that?
Yes. And there are slight revisions to the landscape plan, and we could see kind of highlighted in red are areas where they added some walkways in front of Building A, which we think is a good design, right behind that parking lot, behind that existing commercial center. And in terms of the review of this project, you know, it still would be considered an infill development project and exempt under CEQA. Just want to go through some of the conditions that did change. I'll go through this really quickly. Condition 15 in the staff report identifies, originally there was a condition that stated that the front door access would be provided from the ground floor. The applicant instead proposes that there be only patio access, and that was done with Pueblo Viejo Villas. And that was recommended for approval by the Plan Commission. Condition 17 would allow a 9-foot, 1-inch first floor retail ceiling height. The Pueblo Viejo revitalization plan states that the ceiling height should be 15 feet for ground floor retail. The applicant stated that there's that would add a significant amount of cost to be able to do that, because you also have residential units on the first floor. So it would be cost prohibitive, and the applicant can probably talk about how cost prohibitive that would be for this project. So the Plan Commission was okay with that and allowed it to be 9 feet and 1 inch on the first floor. The Plan Commission did recommend removal of a condition that required the ground floor apartments to be 3 feet above the sidewalk level. And that's recommended in the Pueblo Viejo revitalization plan to allow for more privacy. But the Plan Commission was okay with removing that requirement. And so those first floor apartments would be at the sidewalk and ground level. Condition 19 is there was a requirement for more of a Spanish style look with respect to the roof tile. So it'd be like clay with mortar. Instead, the Plan Commission was okay with there being a blended concrete tile look that would accomplish a similar appearance. Condition 20, originally there was a condition that stated that the smooth stucco would be used on the walls and bullnose corner edges, and instead the applicant requested that they be able to use the 60-40 sand finish instead. And then the last here is that Plan Commission removed the condition that I mentioned before about shade trees being planted adjacent to Cesar Chavez Street, creating the separation between pedestrian and street vehicular traffic. The ones that remain unchanged, which we think are important, and we're glad they still remain, are how to improve the look of the towers. And so, you know, the use of decorative trim that's, you know, include more ridges and has more depth. Also to include balcony potential structures on the tower, and just that these tower features be more pronounced at the corner of Cesar Chavez and Baghdad Avenue, because those are pretty visible. Ensuring sufficient window access, recesses, that the window shutters be colored like a blue color, similar to the original design. The applicant's okay with that. and that the window edges be painted a similar color as well. But as far as the development, there are 3 alternatives the city council could consider. One is to adopt a resolution approving the changes to the conditions of approval. Number 2 would be maintaining existing approvals. And 3, continue the item and provide staff and applicant with direction. Staff does recommend alternative 1, which would adopt resolution 2022-96, approving the conditional use permit 351 and architectural review 22-044, making revisions to the project. That's the end of my staff report. I do want to mention that there was a letter submitted by the applicant today, and I think that was distributed to the city council. And this is regarding the IIG grant, which a lot of these are regarding some offsite improvements. And so if you have any questions on that, happy to answer those questions. I do have some slides from the original IIG presentation that was given to city council, I believe, last year. But I believe the applicant is willing to talk about that letter as well.
Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and open up the public hearing and ask that the applicant address the city council.
I don't see anyone raising their hand. Oh, there we go.
Hello, good evening, Honorable Mayor and council members. My name is Alex Earl with Chelsea Investment Corp. I'm here with Colleen Edwards. And yeah, Gabriel was mentioning the design changes due to cost escalation. And I just want to reiterate that we were about, well, not to bore you with tax credits and bonds, but that's the world of affordable housing. And we were about halfway through our 4% SIDLAC application and realized that the original design just wasn't feasible. It wouldn't be a winner. And in order to build these projects, we have to win tax credits and bonds. It's a very competitive process. And we decided that the way to go is to go with the architect and that designed Pueblo Viejo Villas across the street, because our construction team was able to get much better numbers. So our finance team, they did a great job and they guessed right. This past week, we found out that Triple E was one of only 2 projects in the inland region to be awarded tax credits and bonds by SIDLAC. And we're set for an award on November 30th at the end of this month. And so we're up against this clock in terms of, we asked Gabriel to have a special meeting for Planning Commission, which he was very gracious to do so. And we were happy for that. And now we're here before you. And so that's the good news. But there is some challenges that still remain with the project. We also have our colleague Dave Davis on Zoom if he would like to chime in, but Colleen's right here.
So basically, we were happy to meet with Planning Commission and go over the proposed changes to the project that bring the building itself within budget. But what we haven't had a chance to do is work with your city engineer on the offsites and what we are able to and what we're not able to include at this time as far as that's concerned. What we wanted to make sure is that everybody understood what the plan was. And ideally, we would have a meeting subsequent to this where we discuss the offsites expectations and the budget available and maybe shift some funds around from item to item and have the best outcome for the city that we possibly can. So the impacts that we're seeing are the inflation of 8%, considering that the IIG application was July of 2021. So it's 8% increase in construction costs since then, projecting forward to a construction start of June of next year. So that's been significant. And then most recently as well, we've been hit by the interest rates. And then with the interest rates, when they increase, then that means your loans have less proceeds available for the project. Also, when the economy slows down, the demand for tax credits decrease and the pricing decreases. So based on all these factors, there's just less resources for the project than we would ideally want, but we think we can work together to make it happen. So the one more consideration was which condition of approval for the offsites.
Item 42, 2C, the south side of 6th Street.
So what we would suggest as far as the offsites would be to just add some language that allows it to be discretionary, that will give us a chance from this time up until about the 29th of this month to work together to make sure we have a package that works for everybody.
Okay. Council? I remember last project and it was a lot of the same and we were able to find you money and we did. And it was kind of the same argument. You know, one of the things that we have to be very careful of is that as we built out our built environment, that architecturally that, you know, it doesn't all look the same and that there's a good feel. And frankly, from what you're all are proposing, they kind of look like the same project across the street with different colors and a couple of different windows, et cetera. So it's not really like theming our downtown in a way that I believe would make it unique and at the same time accommodating to affordable housing. I definitely understand that cost is escalating and things are happening, but that was the same argument that was made back in the day too, that cost was escalating and y'all were able to make it happen.
Yeah, so this is just a little bit bigger inflation issue at this time.
We understand. So with this, does it also mean that the subsidy that we're providing is going to be reduced as well? I mean, we've helped you guys acquire a number of different subsidies. So are those
Sure.
subsidies going to be reduced? We're reducing the number of units. Are we going to reduce the subsidies as well in this project?
So at this point, a reduction in units is difficult because all of the applications are aligned with that number of units. And then it's feasible with the subsidies as they exist today. So, you know, Alex had mentioned that our financing team did a great job getting these applications through. It's highly competitive. We were able to get it, but we were only able to get it on a very tight budget. And if we had not gone that tight, we were ranked 47 out of 55. So we just barely got it in there. And if we had made any other assumptions as far as trying to get a little bit more and try and make the budget a little bigger, it would not have gone through.
What's the delta? What's the from where you're at today to what's the overage?
It looks like the construction cost itself increased about $4 million since the assumptions in 2021 when we did the IIG. We're happy to be open book about this, and we're also happy to work with staff to see what we can do to accept the financing package, but our deadline's the 30th, which is why we're here today.
I definitely get that. It's just kind of it's a drastic change from what was originally proposed. I mean, we're going from 3 to, you know, or from 4 to 3. You're changing a lot of, you know, features that were selling points, you know, and in terms of like the entrance into downtown, just the project feels different and probably one that really needs a lot of study to really make sure that we can get what we really want. I mean,
Yes.
at the end of the day, I think, you know, we want win-wins
Yeah.
across the board, but at the end of the day too, the project's got to feel great, you know, because ultimately these things are going to be here for 50 years.
Yep. So one of the things we didn't mention is that we wanted to coordinate with the art and public funds possibilities to play up some of the special spire features and also the tile elements too, in case that's something that sounds interesting.
Gabriel, in terms of, you can come up here and then in terms of the physical project and what was originally inspired and aspired to and what the planning commission wanted to see and city council approved, like how different do you feel this project is?
It's a big difference, right? And so when the revisions were brought back to staff, right, we provided a lot of comment, right? We went through it with a lot of detail and trying to work with the applicant, understanding that they have cost constraints, right? Now, you know, I can't really value engineer this, right, on the staff side. They have the ability to do that. there are some conditions that were removed that make the project look really good, in my opinion, right? So removing things like the smooth stucco look. I think one thing that was mentioned was pointing to the library as an example of the architecture that would be used for some of these projects, right? So that's more of a smooth stucco project, right? That's the character of that one. The bull-nosed corners, that's a nice feature as well. I think we are okay with changing like the roof tile. I think that's okay, considering that it's probably about 3 stories above and not too many people are going to see that. The tower features change a lot. So being able to see that far away, that can change the dramatic appearance that you saw with the original proposal. There were some conditions that we would kind of work on that with the applicants still that are in here. But yeah, it is a change. And so, I think staff did the best that we could in terms of recommending how it could be improved, right? We want to see the project happen. I don't know what the breaking point would be on this project, but that's why we also conditioned the project the way that we did. I don't know if you have any more questions about that. City Council. Council.
I mean, it doesn't seem like we have very much wiggle room as far as, the deadlines and costs that you have to take in consideration.
That's true. Something that might help would be a rendering, and I don't know how fast we can put it together, but sometimes those elevations look very flat and they don't show the interest of what the building can be. And sometimes if you can just get a better drawing, then we can try to meld it a little closer to the original vision. So that might be something that we could try to do quickly.
And then if we're to change the language and then add discretionary, would you be working with Gabriel and the city manager to make it work? I mean, what are your guys' input on it from?
And then what condition is that? 40?
Condition of approval 42.2 C.
Andrew, are you online?
Yes.
Can you speak to those conditions?
Yes, I believe the condition they're referring to is 6th Street. Is that correct?
Correct.
6th Street on the south side.
Yes.
So the current conditions are for the developer to improve the south side of 6th Street for the continuation of the Pueblo Viejo downtown improvements. The city is currently working on a lot of that project. We've redone all of the curb and gutter, and we're going to redo all of the asphalt. So the only condition that was on the Tripoli development was to put in the new sidewalk, the landscaping, and the lighting. This was part of a larger agreement that was tied to the Pueblo Viejo projects as well. We did have a signed letter of commitment from Chelsea that work would get done with this project. That was brought to City Council at a previous hearing where we went over that signed agreement, and we had pretty clear documentation showing which improvements were going to be performed. So from the engineering perspective, I would like to see those improvements still done. We're on the cusp of having 6th Street fully improved from Grapefruit all the way to Cesar Chavez. It's only a small section that is missing, which would be the south side of 6th Street from Palm to Tripoli. So, from a engineering standpoint and having kind of a completeness, so that residents from this community, residents from all of our communities can walk up and down the sidewalk and have lighting and have shade and have that landscaping for that continuous look through the downtown area, my recommendation would be to have that continue as a condition of approval.
So what we talked about in the letter is that we've got a certain amount of money set aside. And what we've said is that amount of money would go to fix the 6th Street and Cesar Chavez intersection. But in the event that we would be able to work together and figure that scope out and reduce that cost, then that money could be moved over to the 6th Street. Also, 6th Street, you could approach several different ways. We could do the landscaping and lighting perhaps, and perhaps not the sidewalks. Also, the something to consider is that there are large stretches of vacant parcels there that once a developer is identified and a project is moving forward, then those improvements would also be made. Also, the improvements that we make today would likely be removed for driveways, access, and other reasons for the specific projects proposed at that time. But we're just trying to do the best we can.
Andrew, does the letter also impact the parks that were mentioned in the IAG grant?
Yes, so the letter proposes to exclude 4 items, which is the south side of 6th Street between Tripoli and Date. I will make a concession that the south side of 6th Street between Tripoli and Date is one large vacant property. Another item that they asked to remove is the south side of 6th Street from Date to Palm. That area is more of a mixed development style that has some homes that are in, some that are not. Some of those vacant lots are actually owned by the city, so to defer those improvements at this time would actually be putting those improvements onto city taxpayers, since the city owns some of that vacant land. The other 2 items that they have asked to exclude are improvements to an empty lot that the city owns on 4th and Vine. And I did present that to City Council at a previous date with a concept of how that might look. That was supposed to be a fairly simple improvement to that lot, just paving the lot and having it as an area where we could have maybe a farmer's market or food trucks or something like that. And then one of the bigger parks that was proposed as an offsite improvement with the IIG funds was the 9th Street Park, which is the corner of 9th Shady and Orchard, Vine, 9th Shady and Vine. And that park recently has been acquired by the city. With the project that we're doing right now, the Pueblo Viejo project, we've completely taken the fence down on that property. We've installed the sidewalk around the entire perimeter. So we've installed that missing link sidewalk. So again, I would be hesitant to not move forward with some of those offsite improvements, particularly the 9th Street Park one, at least as far as getting something down on there, because as it is now, since we've removed the fence with the anticipation that this project would move forward with a development on there, we now have an unsecure dirt lot that we had prepared with the anticipation of having development in the near future.
So the one mitigant we were able to identify, which is not what anyone wants to hear, but if you reconsider the elevators for either one or both projects, it's $500,000 per building. So if you were able to accept one of the buildings without an elevator, that would make, I think it's 36 of the units without elevator access. The first floor is obviously not needing an elevator, and then the other building would have a 3-story. And what we've said is in our portfolio, it typically doesn't have an elevator for a 3-story walk-up, but that would free up $1 million. But we're happy once again to sit down and talk about that idea or any other ideas to free up money to move around.
Yeah, I know the elevator stuff came up a few months ago. We discussed, and
sure,
I was, supportive of the second elevator. I think we're initially just proposing one. And obviously in the essence of saving and trying to get to some of the other priorities, I'm also comfortable going down to the one elevator, as was previously one of the initial plans. But yeah, very, obviously going to be supportive of staff's recommendation and what Andrew suggested that needs to be done, and so comment to that.
When do you have to have this finalized by?
The 30th, so we still do have a little bit more time. You don't have a scheduled city council meeting, so if you'd consider a special meeting for it, we could schedule it later in the month and work with staff to come up with a plan that you.
We probably won't have it's a Thanksgiving week, the next council meeting.
Yeah, I just kind of feel that we're willing to work with you. I just think that right now it's pretty much what I'm hearing is everything at the expense of the city, and not so much of your guys' putting any kind of money forward or new money forward. We did work with an affordable housing project recently. They were over, and that organization stepped up and said, hey, we'll cover it because we believe in the project. I'm hoping you guys can consider that too. If there's a $4 million shortfall, come up with 3. We can come up with 1.
Project.
I know you guys are for-profit, affordable housing. I totally get it. But at the same time, the city has been very accommodating and very helpful to getting your funding matrix all sorted out. You've come to us in the past, to find you new money. We found you new money, whether it be at the county, whether it be IIG, whether it be, creative financing on when it comes to our lighting and landscape, public safety. Now it just feels just like, hey, city, give up more and more and more and more. And because there's project, cost considerations, and then we're under a time constraint, and it doesn't make me feel very comfortable. And I know we need to build more affordable housing. I get it. But at the same time, we want to make sure that this project ultimately gets us what we want. So if maybe we push for continuance, we can have more in-depth conversations, and go from there.
Yes. Yeah, sometimes the financing in affordable housing is a function of the period of time that you apply for it and then the resources that are available. So we've asked for the max that was available in this round that was financeable. And if we'd asked for more, then we wouldn't have the potential of an award. And so that's what we're bringing to you, is that potential. We'd like to see if we can work together to make it happen and get you what you want.
Yeah, I think it's got to be a win-win.
Yes.
And, right now, all I'm hearing is city give up this, city give up that, give up this. And it's not a win-win. It's kind of one-sided right now. So
I'm open to a special meeting. I think at this point, we have to have one. I can't see this happening without a special meeting, especially because we have a deadline of the 30th. I think it would have been more helpful if we didn't have just one meeting in September and one meeting in October. That would have maybe put you a bit further back out, but because of it, we're now on a shorter time schedule than we would like. So, my direction is that, you go back, with staff and try to figure something out and put something together and then have a special, and then bring us back and see where we're at. Because I think that to decide something here for me to give direction is a bit difficult, because you're taking, we're taking from one and then maybe adding for another. And that's a difficult decision for me to make as well.
Sure. Yeah, we get it. What we wanted to be sure to do is surface all issues today and then come up with a plan. So, thank you.
Well, I'm glad to hear that last part, and I just want to chime in as well that and this was actually the first project that was presented in my first meeting as city council member almost 4 years ago. I remember you presenting to us in my first meeting. And so I've seen the project go through many meetings over these last 4 years. And it seems that almost every time you come, or maybe every time, it's been a request to reduce and take out things that we've requested. I think the elevator is extremely important. It may not be standard in other projects, as we've discussed in several previous meetings with you, but because of the extreme heat in this climate and because of the high quality of life that we value, even for low-income residents and affordable housing, it's very important to us that that item's not removed. I also am uncomfortable with how many requests came through to us in that letter, which could have been presented further in advance so that we had more time to contemplate and think about things or look into things before this meeting. But I am so in support of continuing the conversation and finding out how to reach that win-win solution, as the mayor said, in the context of a special meeting. So perhaps we could move to continue this item.
If that's a motion, I'll second.
Real quick, Mayor, since this is a public hearing, we do have a short time.
We'll leave it open.
Deadline, so if people can maybe take out their calendars and give us a date.
Well, just a point of clarification, Mayor, to reiterate what you've indicated and Councilmember Bimenacito indicated, staff worked real hard on this project and we got this letter today at 11:30, 11th hour. We wish Chelsea would have approached us earlier with these concerns. I am very confident and comfortable with Gabe's analysis and the planning commission's analysis to push this project through as is now per staff's recommendation. I don't foresee a need for a special meeting. Those IIG grants were applied together. We understood what was going on. We want to be considerate of the current market needs, but a year from now, we might be in a recession, costs might be lower, and we might not be needing this conversation. We accommodated a lot for Chelsea, but I think moving forward and putting that stress on staff right before the holidays, we're pretty confident and comfortable with what we presented today. My recommendation will be to move per staff's recommendation, but if the council wishes to do a special meeting, we can do that, but staff stands by its recommendation.
Hearing that, I'd like to make a substitute motion to approve the item according to staff's recommendation.
I'll second.
Correct. I think is the public hearing still open or?
Let me go ahead and close the public hearing at 8:27. And then we will move staff recommendation. Can we get a roll call, please?
Yes, council member, oh, before that, I'm sorry, I didn't, for the record, just state that even though we did address the letter, this letter was received today by email from CCICLP with some details on timeline and scope, and it was forwarded to council November 9th at 2:59 p.m. That's just for the record. Okay, I'll go ahead and take roll. Councilmember Bimenacito.
Yes.
Councilmember Delgado.
Yes.
Councilmember Galarza.
Aye.
Mayor Hernandez.
Aye. Move on now, item number 26. This is adopt resolution 2022-97, authorizing the city manager to submit an application for the County of Riverside Community Development Block Grant.
Yes, hi, good evening, Mayor and council members. Selena Jimenez, Grants Manager for the City of Coachella. This is item 26, and it's the City of Coachella Home Enhancement Program. So the City of Coachella designed a home enhancement program that will provide grants to rehabilitate stick-built and manufactured or modular homes that are attached or affixed to owner-owned private land and owner-occupied single-family residences in the City of Coachella. This program will be funded using CDBG fiscal year 23-24 funds in the amount of approximately $369,000. The HEP grants can only be used to assist low-income qualified homeowners with home exterior repairs, which could include minor roof repairs, broken missing windows, exterior paint, fence repairs, and other eligible exterior improvements. The maximum grant amount is $50,000, and this is modeled after after the county's HEP program. They have recommended that we keep that maximum amount at $50,000 just to ensure that all of the repairs are addressed and to ensure that they're addressed. And so the city will reserve the right to increase the maximum HEP grant limit to address all necessary health and safety improvement discoveries. Participants will be required to enter into a short 5-year covenant agreement that will restrict the use of the property to an affordable single-family dwelling, encumbers the land, and restricts the sale and future loans against the property for the duration of the agreement. It also requires that the property owner provide continued maintenance of the entire property, interior and exterior, for the duration of the agreement. In order to be considered for a home enhancement program grant, applicants will have to meet the following qualifying threshold criteria. They must have a total household income that is no greater than 80% of the median household income for Riverside County for the household size. The applicant must be the owner occupant of the property. The property must be located within the city of Coachella, and all properties must be owner occupied. They must be single family, stick-built, or manufactured or modular homes that are affixed to the property owner's private property, and the property must have been owned by the applicant for at least 1 year before the application. The property must be located within a community where the city's HEP activities are being carried out. And what this means is that these properties must be within qualified census tracts, and one homeowner must be either a U.S. citizen or a qualified alien as per Section 431 of the Personal Responsibility and Work Opportunity Act. Eligible repairs. In order to ensure that the goals of the HEP program are met, the following list of specific priorities has been established to serve as a guide for the personnel assigned to the program. It should be noted that the items listed are not meant to exclude or be exhaustive. Staff members are encouraged to explore additional means for meeting the overall program goals. Eligible repairs include health and safety issues and systems, exterior improvements, energy efficiency measures like doors, windows, weatherization, fallen fences, porches, steps, etc. It must address repairs needed for residential homes that are deteriorated and deteriorating. Perhaps our code enforcement team can help us identify some of these properties that are in major need of repair. And certain improvements are subject to specific requirements and limitations. And this concludes the presentation. Thank you.
Well,
Please let me know if you have any questions.
this is great news. I'm going to go ahead and open the public hearing at 8:32. Is there anyone in the public who would like to address the city council on this? Seeing none, I'm going to go ahead and close the public hearing. Council, is there any questions?
Great job. Been a while coming, and so I think it's a great project. Regarding the 50,000 maximum, if folks were to reach that maximum, that would be only like 7 homes. Is that a concern that we have, versus being able to spread the wealth to more residents in Coachella? Or do you don't think it's going to be an issue? Or
No, because the key word is up to, or the maximum is 50,000. So let's say that we receive applications and they're eligible, and let's say that they need less money, then that's great. If they need up to 50,000, then we will authorize that. And also if there is something that goes a little over 50,000, we reserve the right to approve that change, but we're hoping that most of the repairs are minor.
I think there's obviously no doubt that, I think there's no doubt that you could have 7 residents with $50,000 worth of, need in their homes. I think there's a lot of need. That's just something that comes to mind. But I think if staff doesn't see an issue, and we have plans and ideas that are going to help make sure that we mitigate where a possibility of there's going to 7 to a dozen versus grants of like 5,000 or so forth, that could be able to sort of spread the love. But,
yes, absolutely.
That's the only thing that comes to my mind. Other than that, I think it's a great project, and I'm very excited to see this come to fruition.
Thank you, Councilmember. And we share the same concern as you, so we will make sure to attempt to assist as many people as possible.
I have another question, Selena, kind of related to that is, are there any restrictions that you know about in the CDBG funding that would prohibit us from adding like a revolving fund component where some of the money could be lent instead of just granted, or does it have to be only granted?
It could be loaned instead of granted. But because of the situation that we are in right now with inflation and home prices and how people have been severely affected by the pandemic, in consultation with the county and just other people that run similar programs, we determined that it would be best to give people grants instead of loans. But we are kind of we're including a safeguard by adding that they will have a 5-year agreement with us. And so, because usually any longer than that, people will start refinancing their homes or what have you. And so we wanted to just keep the program accessible by not creating additional barriers. And so we thought it'd be best to make it like a grant program. However, if council wishes to make it a loan that is repaid and then we use the funds from the repayment, we can do that. But we thought it'd be better to structure it as a grant.
Yeah, I mean, grants are always better, of course, because it's free money and people can always use that rather than a loan. I was just wondering and thinking about that, sort of connected to Councilmember Galarza's question, because I mean, it is a lot of money, but it's also not a lot of money to do upgrades to homes. And so once the money is spent, it's gone. And it's only, even if they're smaller grants that don't go up to 50,000, it's only going to cover a finite number of homes. I don't know if this fund is even big enough or if there's enough of a timeline to add, like part grant and part revolving loan fund so that it can be replenished and then given to others on like a 0 interest loan, which is a type of free money. So it's just an idea. If it's not this time, maybe it's something for the continuing council after I'm gone to think about for future iterations. That type of fund, a revolving, very low interest loan fund, has been successful in the East Valley community, in the further East Valley communities, in the Polanco parks, where similar or maybe even more serious types of upgrades are needed. So just something to think about. I hadn't thought about it before, I guess. But either way, I'm very happy about this project. It's one of the first things I requested back. I feel like everything's happening right now in my last meeting, which is kind of cool to see. And I like to make a motion to approve this whenever the time is right.
Yeah, we'll give you that honor to make that motion. I just will add that, if I'm not mistaken, from our last conversation about really putting together a robust program that really focuses in our community, that we're also looking at, I think there's like $1.2 million of potential funding that we have, and reprogramming that with the state in order to benefit our community for similar programs. And I forget the other funding stream that we were also
Yes, that is correct, Mayor. I was going to interject that we, unfortunately, by the time this meeting came, we had not heard from HCD just yet, but we are working closely with them in getting certain approvals so that we can utilize our those monies that you're mentioning, Cal Home, and CDBG.
So I think with the Cal Home and then the CDBG, we'll kind of open up for like 1.3, 1.4 million.
And we earmarked 500,000 for MARPA for this project.
That's what it was too. And then so now when we're considering the total program, right? So 500 from MARPA, 1.2, that's 1.7. So it's about 2 million in all that we'll be able to focus in. And so in this kind of in the larger picture, absolutely, we want to try to, do as many homes as we possibly can, but I just wanted to paint that picture that this is one part of 3 funding streams that will roll forward and really kind of, make sure that our community can win.
Yes, thank you. Absolutely.
Councilmember Bima Jacinto, if you wanted to make the motion, floor is yours.
Move to approve.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
There's a second. Can we get a roll call, please?
Councilmember Beaman Jacinto,
Yes.
Councilmember Delgado,
Yes.
Councilmember Galarza,
Aye.
Mayor Hernandez.
Aye. We'll move forward now in the public comments. This is the public may address the city board, council, corporation, authority on any items of interest. Is there anyone that would like to address the city council, board, corporation, authority? Seeing none, we're gonna move on to reports and requests, council comments, reports and miscellaneous comments. I'll start to my right. Councilmember Galarza.
I have a CVAG Energy and Environment Committee meeting tomorrow. So nothing to report regarding that. Look forward to next month, and just wanted to congratulate Mayor Hernandez on 2 more years on your recent election, and I look forward to continuing to serve with you.
Thank you. Councilmember Delgado,
I don't have any comments. Thank you.
Councilmember Beaman Jacinto, the floor is yours. Take your time.
Thank you. I plan to go all night since it's my last opportunity. Just kidding. It probably my last substantive meeting here, unless we do end up with the need for a special meeting before the change in leadership in December. And I don't plan to make a monologue about the experience, at least yet. But I did just want, for the 3 of you there, I did want to mention a couple of projects that I had spent a lot of time on that are still really in the early stages, and that I hope you might consider carrying on after I'm gone. One is the Race Equity Task Force, which was a component of our resolution declaring racism a public health and human rights crisis, which we passed in the middle of the pandemic in, I think, July of 2020. That resolution carried with it the creation of a race equity task force, and I waited for the change of city management before starting a little bit of work on that, and I have had many conversations with Gabriel and with potential race forward consultants that would be in the right position, the right experience to lead that type of the formation of that type of task force for us, and possibly a report to come out of it. So I hope that work will continue, and that one or many of you will pick it up after I'm gone. The second project I wanted to continue to place on everyone's radar and hope that you'll continue pushing forward is the request for proposals, or the actual proposal on the city public safety department, so that we can evaluate with actual data what the scope of that potential city public safety department will be, how much it will cost, and whether it is feasible for our city to come up with our own design and our own vision of what public safety means for our community. The third that we discussed not too long ago, again, is the inclusive zoning ordinance that I've proposed in many meetings. I know Mayor Hernandez, thank you. The last time that it came up, you supported the idea of bringing it back, at least for discussion or analysis at council. Hasn't come back yet, so I guess I'll not get to participate on that one. But inclusive zoning ordinances essentially mandate a certain percentage of different diverse types of housing in every new development or new neighborhood in the city once that ordinance is passed. So it's not just about affordable housing, but it's about ensuring that there's diverse housing in all of our communities, and that we're not intentionally or unintentionally segregating communities by income or leaving any types of housing behind. And yeah, those are I guess I'll just mention those 3 that I'm really hopeful that, and I know council supports those ideas for the most part, and I'm really hopeful that some of you will carry those forward and we can see them to fruition one day. And those are all of my comments for today.
Well, I would take the time and then just thank you today for your service. It's not easy to be a council member. There's a lot of time commitments. There's a lot of study. There's a lot of effort and energy that one needs to just have and commit to and sacrifice. So on behalf of the city, we thank you. We'll do so formally in the next meeting. as well, but just thank you for your work and everything that you contributed to the city of Coachella. You've done a great job of advocating for, folks that are very vulnerable, housing, equity, and those things are greatly appreciated. So thank you for your work, and you'll be missed. You're a good voice.
Thank you.
I just have one comment, and that's that, well, the city of Coachella didn't receive the dollars, but the Coachella Valley Association received $36 million for the Arts and Music Lane. And it's going to be about a $46 million project off of Avenue 48. And it'll go from Dillon Road through the city of Coachella, Indio, and La Quinta. I've asked Tom and Kirk, as well as Jonathan Hoy, to coordinate with the city as well as the county on the portions of the project that we have in our jurisdiction. We have obviously from Van Buren to Dillon, road improvements that the county is going to be doing. And then we've also preliminary got awarded recently another $40 million for the bridge off of Dillon Road. So we need to kind of coordinate all these efforts. But it's good news that that corridor is going to get fixed, and it's going to look really, really nice from an arts and music lane. So that's a big win for Coachella. It's a big win for that stretch of street. And really, it's going to be about coordination and make sure that all these projects can really meet the just the timing frame, and that we need to ensure that that we need to meet so these projects can get done. And then I've had some good conversations as well with different LAFCO board members, Gabriel, regarding the city's anticipated approach or anticipated proposal for annexation. So I just want to encourage staff to move those annexations forward. I think it's going to be important that we make sure that we move those annexation. I also just want to thank staff for the groundbreakings we had and ribbon cuttings we've had over the last few weeks. There's some goodies that I was particularly just pleased with our grant that we received from the California Water Resource Board, and the fact that we have Joaquin Esquivel came out here and visited us, and directors from the state, and we made it known. I was able to go to lunch with a few of the members there, and we made it known that there's more need, and they were very receptive to us and very appreciative. And one of the things they commented back was that they, quote unquote, they said, we've been to a lot of different events throughout the state, Northern Cali, Southern Cali, and we've never seen the type of community engagement that you all have here in Coachella. So they were really pleased. And I just want to thank staff for all of their work on putting those groundbreaking ribbon cuttings together. We've accomplished a lot. So it's an exciting time, and congratulations. With that, Mr. City Manager, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a few little announcements. We are having a development meeting for the KPC specific plan on Monday, November 21st at 5 p.m. at the Coachella Civic Center. It will be to discuss it's the EIR scoping meeting for that specific plan. And it's a 2,800 acre mixed use specific plan that includes 9,530 residential units, 27 acres of entertainment district, and 250 acres of mixed use commercial. Other things to note, we have Veterans Day holiday tomorrow, so the city will be closed. We are also having a lot of events this Saturday. We have the Veterans Pancake Breakfast at Veterans Park. We have the city community cleanup event at Rancho Las Flores Park in a partnership with ID that they're giving a tree giveaway. So please make sure to register for that free tree. We also have the Synergy Festival at Dayland Park. And also we would like to wish Councilmember Delgado happy birthday. It's her weekend birthday. And also would like to thank Councilmember Bima Jacinto for her service and leadership for the last 4 years. That is all.
Well, happy birthday. Hope it's enjoyable. I'm gonna ask I imagine the council member is gonna be enjoying her birthday, but Councilmember Galarza, if you can step in, because I'm taking some vacation. So if you could cover some of these events, that'd be greatly appreciated, from the veterans breakfast, to tree planting, to because of that smile on your face, I feel like you're going somewhere.
Well, you know, at home, I work, I can manage. At home, I'm not the boss this weekend. They're taking me away on a trip. My boss, my wife, she's made arrangements for me not to be here this weekend. She said I've been too busy the last few weeks supporting my friends that it's a weekend for her. So I apologize.
Understood. We'll figure that out. All righty, with
I'll
that,
be available. I'll cover it.
we're adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you.